truth always comes to the surface. You know, like you mentioned right at the beginning of this episode of like, entrepreneurs like, I have no shyness in saying his name because there's no redeeming factor for him for me, which is Faris Al Hamadi, Rash's best friend, right? People like him, if you go to his comments now, right, it's people slagging him off left, right, and center. Like, forgive my language, like because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can hide, and there's only so much nefarious activity you can do before Allah makes the truth present, right? And Palestine was just his issue. He came and marketed himself as someone who studied a certain strand of Islam under some big, Salafi scholars, and was answering questions in Q&A, got big. How he got big, where his funding came from, Allahu Alam, what that speculation. Right. But his time, I mean, he might still be popular. I don't follow him, so I don't know what his popularity is like right now. But at the end of the day, the truth came forward. When Palestine, a real issue came to town, and it wasn't a case of saying, can do my trousers have to be above my ankles and not, and all these like rudimentary type of stuff that goes on. His ugly side came out, and Allah made it clear. So I think there's only so much that these type of like controversial stuff videos do, like in terms of people fighting and the nefarious types and all this stuff. And while they do, I believe, do a disservice to us and these rogue type of elements, everyone having a voice and saying all kinds of stuff, whether it's Mufti Abu Layth and these weird like young the 20-year-olds podcast where they're talking about like marital issues with random people and all this, that sort of stuff. That's because it's kind of trendy to talk about that stuff, right? Eventually, I believe firmly that people move on from that. And when they move on from that, they need the alternative to then go and find. And I think there are loads of people doing it. And you know what? I think not the trick, but the main thing is you have to focus on, again, the most amount of people you can help with your information, with your work. And that is the general, the average everyday Muslim who doesn't know about the ruling by, what Allah has revealed is kufr, and doesn't know about these all complex, very specific issues of belief and, what this group and this sect and this sect. And I think that's why on the counter, those type of groups have been the most successful. Yaqeen Institute is probably the biggest Islamic institute in the entire world, right? Why? Because they don't fixate on these type of issues. They focus on the everyday Muslim, the masses, right? Because there's no benefit in focusing on the 1% or the 2%, right? Who are having their, as Imam Shafi'i said, knowledge of the elite behind the closed doors type of discussions. And you forget about the rest of the ummah who desperately needs help. And what is it? They need help holding on to Islam. They're not debating whether I should be Ash'ari or Maturidi or Salafi or anything like this. They just want to hold on to Islam, right? And there's a lot of people doing a lot of great work. You have Thinking Muslim with his podcast. Yeah, from a UK perspective, you have Sheikh Haytham Al-Haddad who's doing great work. You have Asrar Rashid. In America, you have Dr. Shadi Al-Masri with Safina Society. You have Dr. Yasir Qadi. So we don't have like a shortage of names of like great people doing great work. Now they're not going to get everything right, but I think the ultimate lesson to be learned from is we can have critiques of the scene, rightly so, and there will always be a negative like aspect to every scene. But I think if it's in our power and we have that interest and we want to do it, we have to take initiative. We have to take charge and just produce the material that we want our kids to learn and the general masses to learn as well, inshallah.